Hello, I'm Trusha Naik, and this is my World Weather Report for the second week that I have been given, which is from 23rd March 2020 to 29th March 2020. The period for this week is near the spring equinox. This means that both the hemispheres receive about equal amount of insolation. This is reflected in the 2-meter air temperature plot given below, as the temperature distribution is more or less same in both the hemispheres. Record warm March surface temperatures were present across all parts of the Atlantic, Indian and Western Pacific Oceans, as well as parts of southern North America, South America, Asia and Africa. Averaged as a whole, the global land and ocean surface temperature for March 2020 was 1.16 degrees Celsius above the 20th century average of 12.7 degrees Celsius, and the second highest in the 141-year record. This plot is for mean wind vectors taken from the NCEP operational dataset. Here, as you can see, near the Indian subcontinent, the winds that were very much prevalent, very much easily discernible, the northeastern winds over the Arabian Sea, are not so discernible now in March, as the winds will start to turn in a couple of months. In the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, we can see here that the wind are the tropical easterlies and the subtropical westerlies are somewhat easily discernible. This is not the case in the Indian Ocean. In the Southern Ocean, we can see the winds are very strong in some places. This might be due to the absence of land in this area, which prevents the obstruction of winds. And again here we can also see that the winds have a less structured flow over the land than over the ocean. This plot is for the mean sea level pressure taken from the NCEP operational dataset historical data plotting page, and we can see here that there are some pockets of high pressure in the northern hemisphere right here, one over somewhere in the Central Asia Europe area, then again one present over here in the North Pacific region, and the Southern Ocean seems to have a lower pressure than the rest of the world, but the equator, around the equator, the pressure is somewhat similar of distribution. World Meteorological Day is celebrated every year on 23rd March in honor of the convention that established the World Meteorological Organization, coming into force on 23rd March 1950. The theme for WMO Day 2020 was climate and water. This theme was chosen for the reason stated on the website of WMO as fresh water is vital for life. On average, a human being cannot survive more than 3 days without it. Water is essential for the production of our food, virtually all of our goods and services, and for the environment. The world now faces increasing challenges posed by water stress, floods, droughts, and lack of access to clean supplies. There is an urgent need to improve forecasting, monitoring, and management of water supplies, and to tackle the problem of too much, too little, or too polluted water. Let us now move to the weather of India. For the week, India experienced a western disturbance and its induced cyclonic circulation on 24th and 25th March. It had caused fairly widespread rainfall, snowfall, thunderstorm activity over western Himalayan region and scattered to fairly widespread rainfall or thunderstorm activity over adjoining plains of northwest India. Isolated hailstorm activity also had been reported from these regions during the same period. Another western disturbance entered India on 26th March and caused fairly widespread rainfall, snowfall, thunderstorm activity across western Himalayan region with scattered to fairly widespread rainfall or thunderstorm activity across adjoining plains of northwest India. It also caused heavy to very heavy rainfall or snowfall over western Himalayan region and isolated heavy rainfall in the adjoining plains during the same period. Heavy rainfall, which is greater than 64.5 mm as given by IMD, was recorded at isolated places over Kerala, Mahe, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, and Karaikal and Odisha on each day during the week. trough or wind discontinuities across parts of west and central India, with cyclonic circulations embedded in that, and enhanced moisture feeding into the region, caused isolated to scattered rainfall or thunderstorm activity over these areas during the week. Isolated hailstorm activity had also been reported from this region in association with that. In Asia, a dust storm swept over the Aral Sea in Central Asia on 24th March. The MODIS camera on NASA's Aqua satellite captured this image of the dust storm in the natural color. Much of the dust appeared to be coming from the Arakulam Desert, which was once a part of the Aral Sea. It emerged after the Aral Sea had dried in the recent decades. The Aral Sea has been shrinking since the 1960s, when the former Soviet Union undertook a major water diversion project on the arid plains of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, and diverted river waters for crops that otherwise would have poured into the Aral Sea. As the lake dried, river runoff enriched the increasingly salty water with fertilizers and pesticides. As a result, the salty dust that blows from the exposed lake bed poses public health hazards and can degrade the fertility of soils in the surrounding areas. So as we can see in this image taken in various years starting from 2000, and as we move on, the size of the Aral Sea seems to be shrinking. Later on, they built a dam in the North Aral Sea, which is somewhere in this region. The dam was built somewhere over here, which cut it off from the South Sea. So the North Sea maintained its shape while the South Sea kept on shrinking. At one point it had even vanished in 2014, some part had vanished, which was again replenished in 2018, which might be due to rainfall over there. On 29th March, the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia noted that a tropical low had begun to form within a trough centered over the Torres Strait near the southwestern coast of Papua New Guinea. Upon its formation, the tropical low was given the identifier code 11U by the BOM. The system meandered slowly towards the east-northeast over the ensuing days towards Papua New Guinea. Despite tracking through favorable environment, the land interaction prevented any significant intensification from occurring, with the tropical low circulation remaining broad and deep convection fragmented. It attained peak intensity on 2nd April with a central pressure of around 999 millibars. Let us now move on to Europe. In Europe, a strong cold outbreak spread across Central East Europe during the first half of the week in response to a very powerful upper ridge and 1040 plus more than 1040 millibars high pressure system over the northern half of Europe. It delivered a huge amount of snow in many parts of Europe. As you can see, some parts it was more than 60 centimeters also. Next, a deep upper low caused a pronounced surface low and a frontal system across southern Italy on 25th March. It resulted in excessive rainfall and flooding threat across the Calabria and Sicily region. Its central pressure was around 995 millibars near Malta, which is an island near Italy, with a pronounced dry intrusion from Tunisia and Libya, which is somewhere over this region, towards the southern Italy. High resolution images indicate that there was huge Saharan dust advection into the southern Mediterranean as well. So this dry intrusion may have carried the dust from Sahara Desert into the southern Italy region. Very high values of PM10 particulate matter were observed across southern Europe from 27th March. This was caused because of the weather pattern over Europe. The extensive upper level ridge across the northern half of the Europe and large upper low over the Mediterranean led to the dust advection from the east into Central Europe and also to west-northwest. This pattern delivered high values of PM10 particles from the Caspian Sea and the Karakoram Desert to its east, far west across the Balkan Peninsula and Central Europe. So this low pressure over here and this high pressure, they acted in such a way that there was intrusion of particles from the Caspian Sea that carried dust across the Central and Western Europe, and the values of PM10 particles remained very high. Next, a very high pressure system caused by a strong upper level ridge with its central pressure of around 1055 MB had developed over the North Atlantic. This was due to the negative North Atlantic Oscillation Index. This system formed on 29th Jan. As we can see here, the central high pressure is around 1055 millibars. In North America, the most significant severe weather patterns were seen due to thunderstorms that caused storms that caused the tornadoes. On 24th March, two tornadoes touched down in Mississippi, Alabama, and in Tennessee. They were both of EF1 category. The tornado in Mississippi caused damage to a few structures and trees. On 28th March, it was reported that the day was the busiest day for severe weather in more than 2 months. There were reports of 19 tornadoes, hailstorms, windstorms, and floods across the country. The events are marked in this picture over here to the right. So as you can see, here the red part is the tornadoes. There are so many tornadoes. There are more than that, but they must have been hidden in one another. There was also wind, flood, and hails. So these many storms or severe weather events had taken place in one day only. Out of the 19 tornadoes reported on that day, 3 were of EF-U category, which is EF unknown category, 2 were of EF0 category, 11 were of EF1 category, 2 of EF2 category, and 1 of EF3 category. The EF3 category caused extensive damage in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It damaged several buildings and injured 22 people. So as we can see, this is clearly the tornado is visible over here. This EF scale is called as the enhanced Fujita scale. Tornadoes are rated on this scale based on the damage that they cause to structures and trees and such. Another tornado which was of EF0 category was reported in Tennessee on 29th March. In South America, Chile entered its 10th year of drought in March. Rainfall amounts lately had been very poor and were extremely on the low side. Over the last 10 years, that is since 2010, precipitation in central Chile had been below normal each year by an average of 20 to 45%. Around Santiago, which is the capital city of Chile, the lack of rain had been particularly extreme. Only 10 to 20% of normal rainfall had been recorded between 2014 and 2019. And in 2019, the greater Santiago area and in Valparaiso, rainfall had been almost 80% below the previous record low. In the northern state of Coquimbo, it was even down by 90%. While the drought entered its 10th year, the situation is worsening and is still critical. Attached are the graphics given by NASA, revealing a significant decline in water in the reservoir named El Yeso, which is the major supply for the city of Santiago. This comparison shows the reservoir state in March 2016, in which there was about 219 million cubic meters of water, compared to March 2020, which was just about 99 million cubic meters of water. That's just shy of about 40% of the reservoir's capacity. So it's not even 40% full. Let us now see the state of the large-scale features like the Madden-Julian oscillation, ENSO, and IOD. MJO was in phase 3 with amplitude greater than 1, which means that the band of enhanced convection was somewhere around East tropical Indian Ocean, and that of suppressed rainfall was somewhere around the southern central Pacific Ocean. ENSO in neutral conditions prevailed over the East equatorial Pacific Ocean. IOD, the positive IOD conditions were seen over the Indian Ocean.